Good morning, gamers. This week we're joining Beanie Gang because COVID has made it nigh impossible for me to get a haircut, and this is ridiculous, so this is the solution until I can get this hair situation rectified. But the past couple weeks have been a pretty fun time implementing a new collision detection system in my game engine. It's been a whole lot of reading, learning, and slamming my head on my keyboard because collision detection is very f***ing hard. But how about we quit pissing around and actually take a look at what I've been up to the past couple weeks. So I started the past couple weeks by doing more planning yet again because I wanted to change the focus from building an engine to building a game. With all these neat new tasks that I needed to complete ready to go, it was time to jump in and get to work on some actual code. I started by implementing this nice little plane, which is fantastic, and this is where I'm going to be doing pretty much all of my game development work for the next little while. Obviously, the game won't take place on a completely flat plane because that is f***ing boring, but implementing terrain generation right now is just an absolute waste of time because that would probably take weeks, and the amount of gameplay that terrain generation contributes to a city building game is zero. So this plane is where we're going to be doing all the work for implementing all the city building mechanics, and then maybe once I have all that stuff done, then we can work on terrain generation. But until then, this beauty's going to do just fine. So the next question I had was, which features do I need to implement next to make a city building game? So there's three main ways that a user interacts with most city builder games. There is placing new objects in the world, interacting with already existing objects in the world, and interacting with menus to do various different things. So these are the main things that I need to focus on getting done first before I actually start implementing game mechanics. And unfortunately, in their simplest forms, these bad boys are collision detection, and simplified collision detection. So guess what? That meant it was time for me to start working on collision detection. And the first form of collision detection that I wanted to work on was just getting a ray to be able to collide with my testing plane so that way I could place objects on it. So I started by implementing this nice little plane collider class that is the way that the physics engine will see the plane for all of the collision detection needs. And here is some code that I definitely didn't yoink off the internet for how to collide a ray with a plane. It's all really fancy linear algebra that I really don't have the expertise to get into here. So here's a nice little demo of it. It works pretty dang well for now for placing cubes on the testing plane, which is pretty sweet. So that's list item number 1 knocked out, and I'm ready to move on to number 2, which is clicking on already existing objects and interacting with them. This is where things went downhill for Mr. Axel boy. I decided to represent objects in the world with this thing called an axis-aligned bounding box. It's a very simple way to represent a containing area for any object in the world. It just lines up with the world axes and is very easy to test against since it's always in the same orientation. It's not particularly precise, but it works well enough for my needs, so good enough for now, I guess. But when I was actually trying to test array against it, I would click on the object, and the object would get placed randomly in the world. I click here, but the object pops up over here, and I don't know why. So a whole 2 days later, that's right, 2 days of my life, I finally found the bug. All it was this return statement. It was here, but it needed to be here. With that bug fixed, I could now place objects in the world just fine, which is very cool. I just wish that it wouldn't have taken 2 days of my life, but I should have known what I was getting into when I decided I wanted to develop my own game engine. And so with that done, I really didn't want to do any more collision detection work in 3D, which is just fine because the only collision detection work that I had left to do at this point was menu stuff. I just implemented some code that converts the click coordinates to menu coordinates and then checks all the menu objects to see if they got clicked on. If not, it returns nothing. If it does get clicked, then it calls the clicking code that is in the UI element, and that's pretty much all the more there is to it, which is very cool. So here I have set up a nice little menu demo where the menu can change the color of the cube that is being placed. Now I have essentially put together a nice little pixel art creating thing in OpenGL. It's definitely a step in the right direction. In the future, I could just change these color changing things to instead be changing the kind of building that the user is placing or that kind of thing. So that is working fantastically. And now collision detection is done. No more collision detection for hopefully a little while. I am so done with it. That pretty much does it for progress that I have made these past couple weeks. Next week, I am going to be starting to implement the first features for my city builder game. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and stick around because it's going to be hot. If you really enjoyed the video and you want to show me some love, hit that like button or drop a comment down below. Those both help me tremendously, and I appreciate every single one of you that does that. And yeah, we will see you next week for the first week of actual game development progress, which is pretty damn exciting. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye.